Good afternoon and welcome to my Facebook Live. It's Jenny from Jemini Crafts based in Brackley, Northamptonshire in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to talk you through the cards that we made at Coffee and Card this week and last week. I'll just give it a minute or two for people to hop on. For once I'm actually on time at 2 o'clock. So I'll just wait for a couple of people to hop on and then I will get started. I'll leave you with the cards here just so you can see what we'll be recreating today. Right, I have two people with me. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to get cracking. Quick weather check for you then. That's what I normally do on a Monday morning. So it's quite... it was quite bright. It's clouded over a little bit, but it's dry at the moment. That is the main thing. So let me show you the cards that we're going to make and the stamp sets that we use to make them. As usual, all of the products that you see are from Stampin Up, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, so any of the items you see can be purchased through me. And I run coffee and card sessions and classes in the local area, and that's Brackley, Towcester, Milton Keynes. So if you're near any of those and you want to join me, just send me a message. So the first set of cards, I'm actually using a couple of stamp sets today. The first set of cards uses the Painted Poppies stamp set, which is this one here. A beautiful poppy design, as you can see. We have a large poppy and a watercolour infill that you can use on top of that to shade it. A smaller poppy that you can also use that one for. A field of poppies, that's the one that we're going to use today. And then we have some different leaves, so some leaves on a stalk, a single leaf. We have two splatter stamps, very useful, cover a multitude of sins. And then we have this single poppy as well. So a really versatile set. If you Google Painted Poppies, then you'll see lots of ideas. And if you go on YouTube, hi Claire, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. I didn't recognise your photo. It's a different photo. Thank you. So this is the Painted Poppies set, and this is going to be the first card that we make. So let me show you some samples. We're just using the field of poppies today, and so I've stamped them across the bottom. I've used the splatter stamp across the top to make the sky, a little bit across the bottom to make the grass, and I've also decorated the envelope with just the tips of the poppies there, and also on the inside. Oh, it's young Matty, that's why I didn't recognise it. I'll have to go and have a look later. So, and I've made that into a thank you card, but this would be for, you could use this really for anything, sympathy or get well or wishing you, birthday, any of those really would do the job. So variations on that, this one here, I haven't done the red behind, I've just left that clear. So we've got the sky, wishing you the best, and then the poppies at the bottom. Same sort of thing here, but the red is a little bit more defined. And the nice thing about that is it just gives a little bit of movement to the design behind it. And then the final sample of this one, uses the sentiment, your friendship is a blessing, and I've just kept that very straightforward, not any extra colouring or anything. So that's going to be the first card that I show you. Oh, hi Zoe, that's nice to see you. The second card features a set which is available in Celebration, which is available currently up to the end of March. And this stamp set is called Tags in Bloom. It's a really pretty, easy to colour in stamp set. There's not too much to colour in, so if you're not confident in colouring in, this is a great set to use. It also matches two of our punches, one of which I have here, and that's this one. Oh, thank you, Zoe. Oh, and hi, Joe. So this is it. I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit shining a bit in the light. But this shape, cut out this shape here where the stitching is. I know, it's such a nice mix, isn't it? And then this matches another of our tag punches. And as you can see, we've got Wishing You the Best, a slightly weird sentiment, I miss your face. I think that's something they say in America. Happiness looks gorgeous of you, just for you, always useful, as is sending hugs. Oh, hi Claire. And we've got a to from, and then these flowers here, and hi to you Scylla, can be coloured in with blends or watercolours or markers, or you can stamp the infill. So this obviously does the flower part, and then you've got the leaf part, and then you've got a separate flower stamp, separate leaf stamp, and you can use the infills there, and it's got some tiny little tulip stamps in there with some infills. So we're only using a part of this set. This set you can get free with a £90 order between now and the end of March. Just to team it up for something slightly different, this set here is designed to go with those two punches as well, and I'm going to use this Happy Birthday stamp and also the Thank You for Your Kindness stamp. So let me show you the second ones. So you can see I've got lots of different variations of colour. This is a really easy set to use. So I've stamped the flower. I'll just bring that stamp back into view. Oh, hi Helen. So I've stamped this image here with the flower, and then I've just turned it round by 90 degrees. And because this frame is symmetrical, I managed to re-stamp it with the flowers then on the bottom. You could mask it off, that'd be no problem at all. But if you just take your time to line it up, you get a really nice effect. So I've coloured that with Purple Posy and Highland Heather. I have to think about that for a minute. This birthday one here is done in Melon Mambo with Flirty Flamingo flowers, and I've stamped the sentiment here in Melon Mambo and the border. This one here, Sending Hugs, so I've done the double stamping as I did before, and because this is a small sentiment, I've just added those extra flowers from the set here. I've just added those and that tiny little leaf on the bottom of the sentiment. Good old Bermuda Bay and Coastal Cabana, some of my favourite colours. There's a thank you card. And then just a single stamp for this one, so I haven't turned it round and stamped it. This is my first stamp I started with, and just literally straight on, coloured it in and then punched out and popped that on the top. So I'm going to talk you through both of those. I'm going to start with the poppy one to get us going. So this is the painted poppy set. I have mounted the stamps up ready, and the layers that I'm using for these cards are just under 4 inches by 4 inches. They're 99mm by 99mm, and this size of card is 92mm. There's an eyelash there. Okay, so I'm just going to position that there. I hope that's a good position for you. And this is my field of poppy stamps, and normally if I was stamping this I'd start from the left and then add my bit to the right, but because on this stamp there's a little gap here and there's a poppy popping out here, what I do is I put that end fitting into the left hand side. It just gives a nicer bunch of poppies. I'm using Memento ink to ink it up, nice black ink, as long as I've chosen one I've refilled recently. I have got one, I have 5 of these altogether, and I have one that needs refilling, so I'm hoping it's not this one I've just picked up. Okay, so I've just inked that and you can see that shining there. I'm just going to move that out of the way. And as I say, I'm going to start on the right hand side and I'm coming off the bottom of the card and off to the right hand side, just to make it look more natural, because I don't want the poppies floating in the air. Okay, so there's one set of poppies. Hope you can see that okay. Let me know if you can't. So when I'm doing this, I always re-ink the whole stamp, just in case I've picked out the wrong bit, and it's very easy because it's the wrong way round to ink up the wrong bit. Let's move that out of the way. So you can see this poppy here is just going to go into that little gap there. You don't have to do it this way. I just found I wanted it just in a nicer line, not too many gaps, like so. There we go. So those are the poppies. I am going to stamp some poppies on the envelope at the same time, and also my inner. So I'm just going to put that to one side, just re-inking that again with the black Memento. And I'm just going to put a few poppies here on the left, like so. There we go. So that's going to be on my envelope, and I'll just do a few for the inside as well. And for that I'm just going to have just the tops of the poppies showing. So still inking up a fair amount of the stamp so I don't miss anything. I'm hoping you can still see that okay. And one little lot. There we go. You can be quite firm if you're wondering why I'm tapping quite hard on the Memento pad, because it's a felt pad, it's not a foam pad, and so it will take a little bit more of the pressure. So that's going to be our inner, that's going to be our envelope, and this is going to be our main part of the card. Just going to tuck that away for a minute. And the poppies. So now I've got this larger splat stamp, and I'm going to do the sky. And what I've done is I've chosen to use Seaside Spray, and I'm going to stamp it off to get a lighter version. So it just depends on how juicy your inks are and also what colour ink you have. So this is fairly pale, but I'm still going to stamp it off. And then I just come in along the top, and I do turn the stamp around because there is obviously a bit of a pattern to it, and if you just stamp it and repeat it you can see that repetition. So I'm just turning my stamp around before I pop it onto my card. So if you can see that, that's the sky. So you can do as much of that or as little as that as you wish. I'm hoping you can see that okay in the light. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of grass, and to do that I'm going to use the lighter, the smaller splat, for want of a better description. So I've got Pear Pizzazz which I have just re-inked, so it's very inky. And I'm just going to literally run that along the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. So as much or as little as you want to build that up. These little small stamps are so worthwhile having. They really are, because they can cover a multitude of sins, and B, they're just useful little stamps. So I'm just going to clean that one off. Okay, now for these ones I decided to follow one of the ladies at my coffee and card last week, and she coloured in the flowers. Instead of doing them poppy colours, she did them in some quite nice pale colours, and so I'm just going to repeat that really. And so I've got a mixture: petal pink, what else have I got? Light daffodil, pool party, and a mint macaron. Okay, my door's just gone, hold on. Sorry about that. That was a UPS delivery, some more Stampin' Up goodies, but it wasn't my usual chap who normally will just leave it in the porch. I had to answer the door. Okay, so I'm just literally going to use my blends pens and colour in some of these flowers, and it does make it look more like a wildflower scene than just poppies. Oh, hi Linda, that's nice to see you. I hope you are keeping well. So I'm just adding just a little bit of colour. These are quite easy because they're quite sketchy flowers. They're really easy to fill in. Let's just do there. Do a bit of the yellow. So you could just use whatever colours you had to hand. Hi Linda. I love when you call me Jenny Jen. So this is a poppy version, and we're just doing a wildflower version, Linda. So I'm just doing a little bit of yellow. There we go. Very sweet. Let's have a look here. Slightly darker pool party. But as I say, you could just use your favourite colours. You could use colouring pencils. You could actually, for this area, you could use marker pens, because it's such a small area that you're colouring in. There we go. There we have it. Oh yes, green ribbon. That would be nice too, wouldn't it? So there's our basic card. I'm just going to add a sentiment on there. And the sentiment I'm going to use is "Thank you for your kindness." It's good to see that I've actually got that straight. It looks fairly straight on there. And I'm actually just going to do that in black, so it's a contrast against the sky. So just inking that up. I'm just going to test it out, see how straight it is to my block. Oh, perfect. I've just inked it in green. Okay, so just going to re-ink that in the right colour, and just keeping that straight, keeping my block straight to that roughly. Like so. There we go. So, yes, do you know, this is one of those stamps that just does the job. A bit like the tulips we used last week. If you saw those, Linda, they're really, really, they went down really well because they're just so easy to use. I'm going to pop that onto a pool party base. I'm just going to use some snail, but you could use wet glue for a bit of wiggle room. Let's put that little top corner. There we go. And that's going to go onto there. Obviously you could layer it up with another layer if you wanted, a black layer behind. It would look quite nice. But that's that, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of colour, and that's going to be my insert, and I'm going to leave my envelope black and white. So I'm just going to use the same pens and colour in a few of those flowers, and that card then will be finished, and I'll move on to our second design. So I had to say these poppies have been very popular. I probably sold more tulip sets. They're the most popular at the moment when I did them in class this month, or last month I should say, February, and then followed by the poppies. But as I say, if you do it this way, then they do look a bit more like wildflowers than they do. I know they're poppy shape, but let's do that. And a bit of blue in. Yes, that's very true. I know you're not a big floral person, but it's always used to have useful to have sunflowers in your stash, especially for sympathy and get well and things like that. There we go. Let's do that one there. That will do. It doesn't need to be too precise, because it is just going to be the inside. So there's my outside. This one is going to go on the inside there. Just going to use some snail, like so. So very pastel colours here. So there we go, that's the inside. There's the outside and the envelope. So that is our first one. And now I'm going to move on to our second one. So a completely different design. Let's move the poppies out of the way for the moment. And we're going to make this card here, like that. So just get my stamps at the ready. So I have this one mounted on the clear block, and because it is photopolymer, I am going to use a stamping mat underneath. So we can supply a stamping mat. You can see our logo on there, and if it does get inky you can just wipe it down, although this ink has all dried, but you could, if you wanted to protect it, just wipe it down after you've used it each session. This card is going to be Highland Heather, some of my favourite colours at the moment, and I just need a card blank to work on. Here we go. Is that in view okay for everybody? So what I'm going to do, as I said before, is I'm going to stamp it like that and then turn it around and stamp it again, because this centerpiece is symmetrical. So I'm going to ink this up. So this is Memento ink again, because I'm using the blends pens, but you could use our normal stamping pads if you wanted, our normal inks. That would still work with blends pens, you don't have to use Memento. So I'm just going to stamp that there. Good pressure all round. Because it's photopolymer, just leave it a little bit longer so that the ink comes off the stamp. And there you can see a nice crisp stamp. Now this does have a slightly wobbly edge to it. It's designed like that. If you look at the packet, it has got this edge. I thought I'd got some extra fluff on the stamp, but I hadn't. So just bear that in mind. Now just going to ink up the flower section, and then re-stamp this. I'm hoping you can see through there, and all I'm doing is just looking through. Oh, I'll take that as a compliment, thank you, Linda. I know my designs are very simple, but hopefully the little facts, tips, as you say, help you along. So all I'm doing is looking through the stamp here and lining the frame up with the frame underneath. Now, sometimes I get it spot on, sometimes it's not quite right. So let's see how we go. I did try it with the Stamparatus, but I had a couple of goes and I just couldn't make it work on the square card. There we go. I'm happy with that. So all I was doing is looking through the stamp to line up that frame there. Okay, I'm going to colour the flowers in, and then I'm going to stamp the middle section. So I was doing a slightly different middle section this time round, and my chosen colours are 2 shades of Highland Heather, So Saffron, that says. I think it's got the wrong caps on, for the yellow centre, and I'm just going to grab a green in a second for the leaf. So my normal recommendation for colouring, and everybody does it differently, so you know, just do what you feel works for you. I know. That is fine, Linda. That is fine. I knew exactly what you meant. It was fine. So I'm just using some dark shading where the shading already is on the stamped image. There's a little one here, a little bud, and I'm going to do the same at the bottom. And rather than reaching across, I do tend to turn it round. So just light markings for the dark areas. There we go. And then I'm going to use the lighter pen to come over and blend that in. So this one I'm using a circular motion to go over that edge. Oh, hi Babsy. I'm doing well with people popping on and off today, so it's so lovely to see everybody. It was nice to see you and catch up this morning, Babsy. It really was. Okay, and that one there. I'm going to do the same here. So this is just the light one. If you've got a very large image that you're colouring in, just do a small section at a time, and that way you'll find the blending will be better. If you leave a section for a long time, the alcohol evaporates, the colour sinks into the card, which is what you want, but it's not so easy to blend. So if that is the case, do smaller sections at any one time. Finish that off before you go on to the next one. Something of this size doesn't really matter. So There we go. There's my Highland Heather for you. Just adding a little bit of yellow for the centres. It's definitely got the wrong cap on it because this cap colour is Mango Melody. And it's definitely not Mango Melody on the inside. Voila. Okay, now I'm just going to grab some greens for the leaves. She says. So I've got a light granny apple. To be honest, it's a small area, so I'm not too worried about shading. Let's do that little bit in there. My leaf. If I wanted to, I could add in. Oh, how Marion! Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. So, just adding a bit of darkness where those the veins of the leaf are, and then just rolling over that again. Circular motion to blend it in. It's that one. Like so. This would work sideways as well. You're rather late. Well, better late than never. That's all I would say. And you can watch it, go back and watch it on replay anyway as soon as I'm done. So, no harm done. Just nice of you to join me, Marion. So, just going over those leaves, adding a bit of the darker colour where the veins are. This is actually dark old olive, but that won't matter as long as it's a darker green. There we go. So this set that we're using here, Marion, is one of the free sets in Celebration, and you can earn that with an order of £90 or more. Let's rub that in. There we go. Okay, so there's my base design, which I'm very happy with. I'm now going to do my matching happy birthday just here, and I'm going to stamp that on a spare piece and punch it out. And I think I would like to do that in Highland Heather or Gorgeous Grape. Let me just move that to one side. Let me grab that ink. So I have Gorgeous Grape to hand. That will do me nicely. Now I haven't used this stamp. This is the first time, and I apologise it hasn't got its index sticker on it. I'm just going to stamp it off on there. Yep, that's perfect. I'm not worried about it not being straight because I'm going to punch it out anyway. There we go. Right, so that's a really pretty happy birthday. So this is from the stamp set that actually matches the punch. And here is the punch itself. And just going to pop that in there and line it up. Now this is a really nice fine design. There we go. Oh, thank you, Babsy. I really enjoyed it this morning. It just all went well, didn't it? So that's that punch there. And I'm going to pop that up onto dimensionals. But I'm going to put it on the card first. And I have a card to hand. This is Highland Heather. It would work with Gorgeous Grape as well. Let me move this out of the way in case there's any rogue ink on it, because you never know. I'm going to put some snail on the back of that. So just taking my time to line that up, holding it over before I push it down as it's snail, because I've got no wiggle room once it's down. And then that happy birthday is going to go on top. Just going to pop some dimensionals on. Just going to do 3. It doesn't need too many, it's just a single layer of card, so you don't need to go mad with dimensionals. There we have it. Okay, so this is my happy birthday, and I'm just going to pop that in there, and that fits really nicely in that frame. Oh, hi Sarah, nice to see you. I hope you're okay, and I hope Dave's okay. So there's my happy birthday. You could obviously add some gems and things to it if you wished. That's that one there. I'll just leave that so you can see it. And then finally I'm going to do the envelope, and what I'm going to do for this is take the same stamp. Oh yes, you could do the outline to match the flowers, you're quite right. I'm going to take this stamp and just put it in the corner, and I'm going to do that in Gorgeous Grape. So just light tapping, because we're back to a foam stamp. I'm going to bring my mat back in, like so. Check I've got the envelope up the right way. If in doubt, leave the little flap up and then you can see it. Move this out of the way so it will sit flat, like so. And what I'm going to do, I'm hoping that's still on screen, is just put those flowers at the bottom. There they are. So you can just see them on the bottom left, on the bottom side there. And I can colour those in exactly the same way. I am going to put a spare piece of card inside the envelope while I colour, just to stop the blend going through to the back. If I can get that into the bottom. Doesn't want to go. There we are. So this is where you just have to watch, because this mat obviously has got some ink on it now. So I will wipe that down in a minute. And then you can colour these in. So just to show you, you can use blends with the ink pads. Because the ink pads are water based and the blends are alcohol based, it doesn't run. The only thing you shouldn't use is stays on ink, but everything else from Stampin' Up is a safe bet. Okay, there's that one there. Oh, I've done that the wrong way round, look. Never mind. So there's my flower bud. Just do my leaf and my centre and we're done. Thank you, Bebsy. Yes, I did. I could have put an extra piece of paper on to cover my mat up, but I should just wipe it down with one of my wet cloths. There's that, and I might try this yellow for the inside. Yes, it's a little bit darker. That's perfect, like so. And in fact, I'm going to use that yellow one here because it's the other one's a bit too light. There we go. There we are. I'm happy with that. Oh, hi Sam. Nice to see you. So there's our envelope. Obviously you could do the same along the bottom for those flowers and have those on the inside. But that's my finished card. So I'm really pleased with that. You could colour in those little sort of part fleur-de-lis if you wish, but I'm happy with it as it is. The other thing you can do is cut out your frame. So if you've stamped it, then you can actually cut round it and then put that onto a coloured card, for example, like so, with a sentiment on. So that's another thing you can do. It's quite easy to cut out because I just sort of went around the leaves like so, straight down there. There aren't any dies to match this, so I just literally cut it out. But, you know, you could even do that at an angle, would make a nice centerpiece. So that's another option you have available. So there we are. I've gone on a fair bit of time. It's 20 to 3, so I'm just going to flick through the cards for those that joined us after the beginning. And then if you want to see how I created them, you can go back as soon as this gets posted. So thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I am going to do a Facebook Live tomorrow talking about the joining offer. So anybody can join Stampin' Up. I'd love you to join our team. We're a really good, supportive team. And if you're interested in becoming a demonstrator, I'm going to talk a little bit more tomorrow about what it means, the benefits that you get, and what it's all about. And I'll try and do that 2 o'clock tomorrow. It seems to be a reasonably good time for people. Let me show you the cards that we made today. Yes, the fuss cutting the frame does work, doesn't it? So this is the Poppy stamp set. This is the one that I created. There's the envelope. There's the inside. So coloured with subtle blends to make it look like a little wildflower meadow. It's just with the poppies. And in all cases, the sky and the background there has been done with a little splat stamp, for those of you that haven't seen it. There's that one, a little thank you, and then an envelope and another straightforward poppy card. And then just to show you as a complete contrast, these really bright, crisp cards. So here's one, and then I'll just flip through the others because they're all much of a muchness. Some have got extra stamps on them. So a thank you one in Bermuda Bay, sending hugs in Poppy Parade, happy birthday with Melon Mambo and Flirty Flamingo. This one here is in Highland Heather. And for this one, I wanted a larger sentiment, so I didn't stamp the border, I just stamped the sentiment straight onto Purple Posy card using gorgeous grape ink. It's a really nice mixture. And this is my thank you card for February. So anybody who ordered with me in February, if you haven't had your order yet, it will include one of those in the in your parcel. And then wishing you the best with the dotted line round it. Okay, so thanks so much for joining me. I will be doing a blog post on this overnight tonight and tomorrow, trying to get back into the habit of blogging, which I've been very bad at recently, so I need to put that right. So thank you so much for joining me. Join me at 2 o'clock tomorrow if you want to find out all about Stampin' Up and what it means to be part of our team. And in the meantime, stay safe and happy crafting. Bye everyone.